Hey, listeners, did you know 60% of people have secure attachment style? But what is your style and how is it impacting your business? So, I took a fascinating quiz by my friend Mara, who's with me now from The Secure Heart. Not only is she a friend, but she's a brilliant relationship coach for female entrepreneurs. And I discovered that I'm anxious attachment style, and I'm not really surprised by that, Mara.
No, not at all. But you know what? Understanding your attachment style, whether you're anxious, avoidant, fearful avoidant, or secure, can really change the game for your business and your life. I mean, Stetson, your discovery has opened up new ways of regulating your nervous system, communicating effectively, and taking action to move past the anxiety that was holding you back, right?
Oh, girl, absolutely. It was eye opener for me. And I know that I haven't just felt the difference. My friends and people who know me well have actually seen the difference and commented on it. So I know that it's helped me. So for anyone listening, if you're curious about how your attachment style could be influencing your business, your relationships, or even your personal growth, Mara's quiz is an absolute must. And Mara, self admittedly, I send your quiz to a lot of people almost daily.
Oh, I don't doubt that at all. I mean, it's quick, fun, and insightful. So if you have somewhat of an idea what your attachment style is, or no idea what your attachment style is, then this quiz is the best next step for you.
Don't wait to uncover these insights with Mara. Where can we find this life changing quiz?
Just visit my website at www.marapalermo.com, and it's the first step towards understanding yourself better and transforming your business and personal life.
And of course, they'll be in our show notes. Hey there, welcome to the Socially Stetson podcast. This is your host, Stetson K. Patton. You know what? I could talk to you for hours about business, marketing, social media, Enneagrams, and the Bible. Yep, that's just who I am. If you want to join me and my friends as we have these conversations, we would love for you to hang out a bit and get to know each other. I hope you enjoyed the show. Well, hello there, social lights. I hope you are being a light into your online world. Today, we are going to talk about failing forward, how messing up actually moves you ahead. For those of you who know me, who've spent any time around me, you know that I am a competitive person. I grew up playing sports when I was a kid and having siblings and all that jazz. You really become kind of competitive. I guess not everybody does, but I did. And I did not like to fail. I remember in high school, it was kind of my first taste of quote unquote failure. And it was when I was auditioning for the ensemble choir. If any of you have watched Glee on TV, it was actually just like that, seriously. But I auditioned for it and did not make it. And I remember being devastated. My two best friends made it, but I did not. And I had always been told I was a good singer my entire life. And I tried out the next year and did not make it. I tried out the next year and did not make it, but I was first alternate and ended up getting that alternate position. And then my senior year, I did not give up. I tried out again and I made it. Finally, after 4 years, I made the ensemble show choir that I had always wanted to be a part of. Let me tell you about the first time, though. I didn't make it, and I just came home and boo-hooed my eyes out. And I remember my dad saying, Stetson, you're not going to make everything that you try out for. You can't be great at everything. And in my head, it was not true because I was like, no, but I want this. I want this to happen. I want it. I deserve it. But that's not true. We don't deserve it. And a lot of times we don't, even if we want it. And that was my first taste of failure. But the lessons that I've learned for that is perseverance, desire, a kind heart, and lots of practice or work will pay off. I also, after the 3 years of not making it, my senior year, was thinking outside the box. I was like, okay, I have auditioned with the same kind of genres of songs, kind of the same kind of Christian artist songs every single year. I'm going to switch it up. So, my senior year, I actually auditioned with a song from My Fair Lady called Wouldn't It Be Loverly? And if you've never heard that song, it's Audrey Hepburn before she comes into money, and she's kind of homeless, living out on the streets, pretty poor. And I sang it with the accent and really just put on a theater show and stepped outside of my comfort zone and stepped outside of the box, and it really paid off. Fast forward years later when I started my own business, and I have talked about this so many times in previous episodes about owning a brick and mortar store and having a boutique and going into business with my best friend. And this is where pride really came in because we were successful at first and in our eyes, successful. And a lot was going in our direction, a lot of good. And then all of a sudden, when the furniture business pretty much got bought up um, from the Chinese out in Hickory, North Carolina, that's where it was. A lot of the furniture businesses went under. And because they were bought up, our business did too. And we tried to stay afloat and we really tried to make it happen. And for those of you who know my story, you know that's kind of where my love for digital marketing started picking up again, even though I had majored in marketing and had been in marketing for several years. It was after that failed business that my love for digital marketing really started picking up again because I thought to myself, if I had known digital marketing, this wouldn't have happened to us. We would have been selling our clothes online more than we would have been in the brick and mortar. And so it was just a new wrinkle in the brain. And I remember just really having that mind shift when I was younger, even back then, saying, this is not a failure. This is not a failure. This is just a lesson learned. And I joke around and tell everybody I don't have my master's degree from a university, but I do have my master's degree in life and owning several businesses. I could teach a master's degree probably. So that was my first taste of that mind shift and how I could do better and actually fail forward. And how I failed forward in that was just setting new boundaries around my business and any other entrepreneurship opportunity that I was going to take on. And it really has helped me not just in business, but through life, just learning some of those valuable skills that I learned from having to let go of a business. I remember putting in my resume when I was applying for jobs, what it was like to um, close a business down. How did I go about that? And it did get brought up in interviews and conversations. And I wanted to let the people hiring me know that I did learn valuable lessons that I could bring to the table for their business. And failures don't just happen in businesses, they also happen in relationships. And as I am approaching 40 in 2 weeks, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I will be 40. Part of me is reflecting back on failed relationships. And I will preface this with saying I am content with being single right now. I am in one of the healthiest states that I've been in when it just comes to dating and relationships because I've really done a lot of work on myself and I feel confident in who I am and who I am in Christ. And so I do feel like, oh my goodness, all the improvement that I have made is really good. So, any guy out there, wink, wink, I'm a catch. Truly. But I want to talk about the failed relationships because I don't handle breakups well at all. I never really have. And I just get really heartbroken. And I had a therapist tell me one time, she said, Stetson, if you're going to love hard, you're going to hurt hard. And she said, if you're going to decide to put your heart out there and not have walls up and to be vulnerable, yeah, you're exposing your heart. So then when it fails and those breakup happens, it can be more devastating than if I had had some of those walls up. And so she told me, and it was such a good therapy session. She had said, you're going to have to make a decision Do you want to love vulnerably with your heart open, or do you want to love closed off with the walls up? It is up to you. You have a choice to make. And I decided from that point on, what's that saying? It's better to have loved and lost than to have never have loved at all. That I am just a person who loves to love hard, truly. But one thing that I've learned from these failed relationships is that after every single one, I have learned more about myself. I have grown more as a person. And that each of these men that have been in my life have also taught me how I communicate better, and or how to communicate better, how to compromise with people, what other people's thoughts are around my business and around me working too much. That's always a common thing, is Stetson, you work too much. I'm like, well, you're not paying my bills yet. So until you pay my bills, I'm going to keep working really hard. So I just laugh at that a little bit and say it in kind of a joking form, but to be also very vulnerable and open about some of the things that I've learned about these failed relationships. I joke around and tell my friends that after you break up with a guy or a guy breaks up with you, you're always going to date up. You're always going to date up because now you know more about yourself. You know more about other people, and you can level up, because you would also never go date down again, right? You're never going to date down because you always want to show off the new guy. And so it's kind of leveling up from your past relationships. And I think that same thing applies in your business. You're never going to go down. You're never going to digress, because you're learning so much about yourself. You're learning how you handle these conflicts. You're learning how you handle these failures. You're really working on that emotional maturity to have bounce back ability. And then you're going to be able to just have a bigger, better business, a more successful business than the one that you had previously. This business that I currently have, my Socially Stetson business with social media management, I absolutely love it, but I cannot say it is my end all be all. I may think of another business opportunity. There is actually one in the works. That could be bigger and better, because I've learned lessons from this business and some of the failures. And so let's talk about some of the failures that I have struggled with in this current business that I own. I think before, a lot of my perfectionism from when I had the boutique and a brick and mortar store is what held us back from actually moving forward. We wanted everything to be perfect. I wanted the perfect inventory, the perfect wallpaper, the perfect curated look of shoes and purses and aesthetics in the store. And I wanted to have all those things before I felt like we could move forward to even open our doors for sales. And so I learned that some of those things just truly didn't matter. And so fast forward to this business, I don't even think I had business cards or a website when I first started this business. I mean, I truly just had posted on Instagram, who wants to give me money to teach them how to set up their shops on Instagram or to promote their business on Instagram. And I loved doing those private consultations because I have been in marketing for over 18 years now. And I felt confident in the knowledge and skills that I could teach people. And so, because I believed so much in my product and the services that I was offering, I didn't feel like I had to have everything else perfect, because I knew that the training was going to be really good and really valuable. And that's how I started this business. And so I learned from past failures what not to do for this business. Now, I don't want you to think that this business is perfect. Every single business, every single influencer, every single coach out there has a lot of mess behind the curtains. If there's anything that I've learned with working with other coaches, other entrepreneurs, is we all got a lot of mess. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, and we're constantly trying to figure out systems. We're constantly learning from our failures. And so some of the things that I've experienced, let's just even say this month and this week, I am really like been contemplating, okay, did I hire the right people in place for what I need done? And how can I move forward? Do I need to move forward with this team? Do I need to hire somebody full time instead of hiring contractors. I also am thinking that I am a failure in my communication with some of clients. I had one client this week, and we had an hour and a half phone consultation talking about some of their deliverables. And then when we got him his deliverables, he was very unhappy with them and ended up removing them from his social media accounts. And it was devastating a little bit because how could I have been on such a wrong page after an hour and a half phone conversation? And so I felt like a little bit like a failure in our communication. But here's how I learned from it. I was like, no, pivot. We're going to listen to him. He's obviously frustrated. I want a happy client. So I want to do what I can. We offered him a little bit above and beyond in our services to try to make it right. And we're going to proceed forward. And he is so happy to continue to work with us and really appreciated our open communication through email and phone calls when he had voiced that he wasn't happy. So I think that is definitely something that I've learned in the past too. If someone wasn't happy, I got really anxious and a little bit depressed and felt like I was a failure. And now it's more just like emotional maturity saying, hey, maybe there was some miscommunication. Let's talk about this. And not taking it personal that he's mad at me or frustrated at me. It's more of hey, we're not on the same page. So let's figure this out. Just like I am with some of my employees, he is like that with us. And all the things. When you're working with multiple people, I can tell you managing people and managing clients is going to be the hardest part of your business. There are definitely sometimes I miss being a solopreneur because I only had me, myself, and I to worry about. But that's not true anymore. I have other families that I take care of, families that I feed. I have other businesses, and I try not to let that weigh too heavy on me. But I truly care so much for these people and for these businesses that I want to always succeed. Again, that competitive nature in me. So, those are some things that are going on this week where I'm learning more about my emotional maturity, my bounce back ability, and past failures to help me fail forward. And some of that is just that quick email communication of, hey, you're not happy. Let's fix it. Let's go from here. I also think getting feedback is not bad. And so we have had unhappy clients. Guess what? That's going to happen. It's truly, and we just have to be okay with that and let our team know, hey, this is going to happen. Truly it's going to happen. One of my girlfriends, she owns a cleaning business here in town, and she knows that she's a great commercial cleaning business and she does a really good job. Most of her clients are happy. She had one client the other day that she could not make him happy no matter what they did. She even dropped everything she was doing that night, went over there and re-cleaned um, his building space, and he still wasn't happy. And so there are just some people that it is hard to make happy. So I don't want you to put that on yourself that you're a failure, that your business is bad, that you're not doing a good job. Sometimes you're just not the right fit for people. Sometimes they are just looking for something else. And then other times, maybe you're not asking the right questions and you're not delivering great customer service. So maybe you need to think on that as well. Going back a little bit to personal, I know I keep switching back and forth from like business, like to relationships, to business, to now I'm going to talk about weight loss and my health journey because I would catch myself getting into a funk, feeling like a failure that I had put so much weight back on. Because, after we lose weight, we post it on social media and we say, like, oh, we're so proud, down 20 pounds. And I feel like I've done that so many times now in my life that people are like, oh, girl, like I don't even get congratulations anymore because it's like, yeah, we've seen you do this before. And that's what I feel like, even though it's not true. And so it can be a little bit embarrassing to post like, hey, like, or I'm on another dating app. Oh my goodness, I know back to like relationships, but on a dating app, I really had a guy that I'd been out on a date with like 5 years ago reach out and was like, hey, I see you're back on here. Ha ha ha. And I'm like, block. Like, please don't talk to me that way. I was like, yes, I am back on here. It's already hard enough. Please don't make it harder for us. But Anyway, with the weight loss journey too, it can be embarrassing, and I catch myself in those feelings of embarrassment. And I remember back when I had the boutique, when I tell you I was like prideful and didn't want to tell anybody how bad I was struggling financially, mentally, physically. I just had too much pride in my life, and I didn't want to open up and communicate with people or let a business go. I was holding on to something way too tight. And that embarrassment I have seen has like followed me through in other aspects of my life, like this weight loss journey. I'm like, okay, we're going to be vulnerable here. We're going to post that I've lost weight again and that I'm getting back on track. And so, all this to say, I know it's a kind of a random podcast episode, but I was really marinating on that today of, okay, Stetson, you have not failed. This is not failures. We learn from absolutely everything we do. We learn from every unhappy client. We learn from every happy client. We learn from every failed relationship, and we learn from every great relationship. And so I want you to take anything that you're experiencing in your life and in your business, and how are you going to use it to fail forward? And I'm going to end with this verse on confidence, and it comes from Hebrews 4:16. Let us then with confidence draw near to the throne of grace, that we may receive mercy and find grace to help in a time of need. I thought this verse was so appropriate for this podcast episode because confidence comes from us drawing near to the throne of grace. And he does give us mercy, and he will be there for us in those times of needs. So if you liked this episode, and if you have your own kind of Cinderella story of failing forward and how you took your failures to move forward with your business, I would love to hear from you. Send me an email at stetson@sociallystetson.com telling me your story, and I may just ask you to be a guest on our next podcast episode. All right. Talk to you later, socialites. Well, that was fun, and I hope it filled your cup as much as it filled mine. I would love to connect with you over on Instagram at Stetson K. Patton to learn more about what topics you would like for me to cover on this podcast. Whether it's about business, Jesus, tequila, or Enneagrams, I'm going to cover it all. So let's meet back here at the same spot, same time next week.